What is up, guys? Alex here. I have this RX 6800 from AMD. This is the brand new series of graphics cards, the 6000 series. In this video, I'll be reviewing this graphics card, if you should actually get it, and in the future, I'll be doing like a comparison with the RTX 3090. Although it would be an unfair fight since this is not the RX 6900 XT, which that one is the latest. But I will be testing out this graphics card on a Ryzen 9 3950X 16 core processor with 24 threads, a 1200 power supply, a gold power supply, an MSI X570 motherboard. So this graphics card should be running at full potential, and I'll also be talking about its specs. But in this video, I'll be focusing on the game test and the benchmarks. So in case you want to buy this graphics card, you may want to think twice before buying sort of like a RTX 3080. And the crazy thing about it is that we actually found this at stores, and there were actually had a lot of them, actually, in my opinion. But yeah, let's get on into the video. So I tested a amount of games like Fortnite, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, stuff like that, like games like that, to see what this graphics card can run at. We did a couple of benchmarks as well to see again what this graphics card can run at. So this is gonna be the general video. We played games at 1080p and 4K or 2K, I think it was 4K or 1080p, 2K and 4K to see what this thing actually ran at. We turned on ray tracing for some games to see what it was like, to see what the FPS was like Fortnite and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So basically, this graphics card doesn't run bad at all. On Fortnite, it went on Epic, on everything on Epic with ray tracing on, it was around like 12 FPS, like 30 max, and then Epic at 1440p with ray tracing off, it was 156 FPS, and I'm pretty sure this was at 2K in my opinion, I'm pretty sure, but it was everything on Epic, and that's super impressive that everything was on Epic, and this graphics card held itself to run at 156 FPS. Now the architecture is RDNA 2, so I guess they upgraded from the RX 5700 XT to RDNA 2, I guess. I've never really had an AMD graphics card, but so far this graphics card hasn't disappointed me to the level that I needed to, because when I play Fortnite, I lower the graphics down so I get 240 FPS constantly. I don't doesn't drop down, so I get 240 FPS. I don't really know many people that play at like on everything on Epic and 1080 or 4K and stuff like that, but if you do, I mean, that's 100% on you. I definitely just play at 1080p with everything on like mid settings, so my FPS stay at a constant 240 or even 360 FPS. So the minimum power supply that you need for this is a 650 power supply, and this graphics card consumes around 250 watts, you know, while you're using it. So if you have a 600 power supply, you may be able to use it. I don't think you can like overclock it, but if you have a 600 power supply or 600 watt power supply, I'm pretty sure you will be able to use this graphics card, but it's recommended that you have a 650 or higher, because this takes a lot of power. Depending on what your other components are, you definitely want a 650 or above for the power supply. This graphics card is also capable of playing all games at 4K, so they're like the RTX 3090 that is capable to play games at 8K, but we're not talking about the 3090 here. Again, 16 gigabytes of VRAM this graphics card has. I guess AMD, they didn't want any of their users to be missing out if they buy like the 6800 XT or the regular 6800, because this is not the XT, this is the regular 6800, and we have 16 gigabytes of VRAM right here. We can play at 4K with our RDNA 2 architecture that they bring, so it is pretty cool that they included that for all their graphics card, and their graphics cards are actually pretty cheap. Like this one is worth around like $500, and you have the XT that is worth like $600 or $550, around those prices. I do have to check though, but when we bought this from Microsoft, it was like around $530, I believe. Again, super cheap in my opinion, for 16 gigabytes of VRAM. That being said, being so cheap, you do have to spend more money if you really want to buy this on a better CPU. If you have like an 8-core processor, you're definitely going to have to upgrade to like a 12-core or 16-core processor to use this RX 6800. Now, what I said about Fortnite, it is true that when you turn on ray tracing, it does lower the FPS drastically. But on Assassin's Creed, this is where it surprised me. You can play around in 2K to run at 80 FPS, 70 FPS, maybe even 100, you know, depending on where you're at in the game. But for this graphics card, the place that surprised me was Fortnite. When we launched Fortnite, as I told you guys before, when we had everything on Epic at 2K, right? But when we turned on ray tracing, this graphics card was fighting for its life. It was going at 15 FPS. And I'm showing you guys images right now. This was going at 15 FPS and it wasn't going up. It was going up when we were looking at the sky, right? But when we were looking at the general, like, floor, ground, like, walls and everything on the map, this thing was going at 15 FPS. 30 if you're lucky, like 30 FPS if you're lucky. And to be honest, 15 FPS, that's actually quite impressive. You're running at 2K, everything on ultra, with ray tracing on. Yeah, have a 2080 Ti do that. You're gonna be running at like 8 FPS, because yeah, this is actually not bad at all. It's quite impressive from AMD. You have the game at 2K, everything on ultra. You have RTX on, or ray tracing on. So it is gonna run like relatively bad, but if you think about it, it wasn't like it's quite impressive for 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, you guys know the 3080 only comes with 10 gigabytes of VRAM, so a comparison between this graphics card and that will be quite interesting, you know, since the price is pretty much the same. And I guess AMD, like what they did, that even if you buy the lowest end model, you're still gonna get 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which is really cool in my opinion. Now, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think we played it at 4K and then went at 60 FPS, which was also super cool. Personally, I've never really played Assassin's Creed games myself. Maybe like the third one and like the fourth one in Unity, if I do remember. Not to say that they're bad, I just really haven't played them myself. But in 4K it did go at 60 FPS, and on Fortnite, that's where it really surprised me, because it went down to like 15 when you just turn on ray tracing. But you have it at 2K and everything on Epic. Now, what I do like about this is that the overclock, like features for the overclock, are actually, you can activate them through the software. You don't have to go into the BIOS of your computer, right, and activate them there. Or as the 3080 has a little switch, or at least for the EVGA version, where you flip the switch and it goes like it's overclocked, or OC, it says it on that, and then it says normal. We had it on normal when we during our test, and then we overclocked it. And now, if you guys see those tests when it's overclocked, you will be shocked, my guy. Like, actually shocked. But this graphics card, I like that the fact that you don't have to restart your computer. I think you do after you set it to overclock, so the effects taking place, but you don't have to go to your BIOS, then restart it again, so the changes take effect on the BIOS. So I guess it just doesn't take as long over the freaking software than to do it over the BIOS for this graphics card. So like I said, it has 16 gigabytes of VRAM, GDDR6, that's a tongue twister. Not bad at all. Not definitely like GDDR6X like some graphics cards have, but 16 gigabytes of VRAM, it's pretty cool in my opinion, and it can definitely run the games that you like want it to. So this graphics card can also run at 4K, or it can run up to 4 monitors, and that's super cool, you know, for the price of it. If you have 4 monitors, I don't know who really has 4 monitors, but it's super impressive that this thing can run at 4 monitors and play a lot of games at 4K with the FPS staying at a stable 60. I've been running benchmarks, you know, playing like games of like Fortnite, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So at the end of me talking about its specs, I'm just gonna have those game tests and benchmarks just run at the video, and then me going on to the conclusion, so you guys can see it for yourself how the game actually runs and what the game looks like at like 4K or 1080p. But yeah, again, an MSI X570 motherboard with a Ryzen 9 3950X 16 core 24 thread processor with 64 gigabytes of RAM. So this graphics card can definitely run at its like max, like it can run at its max pretty much. Now for the overclock, we actually haven't tried the overclock, but maybe that'll come in the future, maybe on my next video, which will probably be a separate video, you know, showing all the games that we played and all the benchmarks that we did. Another thing that I like it is that it has the latency is actually, it has less latency. They said it was called Radeon Anti-Lag 4. Personally, I don't really feel it because I didn't really get to use this graphics card. It was actually my dad doing the test, but I might ask him if he did feel any latency. And this thing is actually pretty heavy. Like, it is super small, I'm not gonna lie. Like, look at the size of this box. They definitely jam-packed it in here. That's probably why it's so heavy. And I also don't like the fact that they have the CPU on the back wide open. You could just put your finger in here and you can probably damage like one of the cores, and your graphics card, bada bing bada boom, it is broken. I sort of wish they had some sort of like something to put over it so your CPU is sort of protected, because like this, someone that doesn't know about computers could just easily touch the cores and might just break it on accident. But yeah, in conclusion, should you get this graphics card? Yes, for $580, this is like the best of the best that you can get. Now, for some games, the ray tracing won't be as good as, you know, NVIDIA, but maybe in the future AMD will, you know, update this so the ray tracing will be like on the same level as them. But right now, for 16 gigabytes of VRAM, this is like the best of the best you can get if you're on a budget. If your budget is 600, get this Radeon RX 6800 because it was $580. And it has 16 gigabytes of VRAM. That being said, if you're getting this graphics card, you might want to upgrade if you have like old components and you're getting it, you know, because you like, I don't know, want to run Fortnite or games that you like to play, you know, what, high FPS. You want to get faster processors, basically. If you already have them, then you don't have to worry about this. You can already have them. But if you have like an 8-core processor like I do, I wouldn't even be dreaming of getting this graphics card because it will be, again, a bottleneck. So this graphics card, super cool. If I could get it, I would 100% wouldn't trade it for my RTX 2070 Super, which is what my graphics card cost. It was like around $580 when we bought it. But I can't because that one has 8 gigabytes of VRAM. This one has 16, so that's, again, a bottleneck. Games like Control, you know, Fortnite, Assassin's Creed Odyssey did run pretty well, but Control and Fortnite, when it comes to ray tracing, they do have to update that and make it a little bit better for these graphics cards. But if you're gonna get this, I 100% recommend it. But make sure your CPU is powerful enough and you have enough RAM and a power supply strong enough. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.